Hello everyone, welcome to CyberScoop TV. Greg Otto, your managing editor here. We're coming to you from the floor of the 2017 Black Hat Conference, and I'm talking with Jeremiah Grossman, the Chief Security Strategist for SentinelOne. Jeremiah, thanks for talking with us today.
Great to be with you, Greg.
So over the past year, we've seen cyber extortion sort of just balloon out. We have ransomware attacks. We are seeing a lot of digital extortion where companies are having their IP hacked and sort of held until a company does something proactive. How are you seeing enterprises sort of wrap their hands around being adaptable to this sort of just overall cloud of extortion attacks that we've seen?
Great question. Let's do a little bit of history and how we got to this point.
Okay.
So before, let's say the last 10 or 15 years, the way the bad guys did business is that they stole data and they monetized it in the form of credit card fraud or identity theft and things like that. They stole your data and then they monetized it in the world. Through a variety of improvements the industry made to fraud detection and maybe the plethora of data that's out there, it caused the economy to crash. What a credit card number is worth these days isn't what it used to be 10 years ago. So what the bad guys figured out is that the best and most lucrative buyer of the data they stole is the owner of the data. So they encrypted it, hid it, deleted it, and then they'll sell it back to you for a very high price fee. And that's where we are today. Couple that with that every single year we get more reliant on the digitization of data, and we cannot live without it.
So another way enterprises are looking to protect themselves is through cyber insurance. I know that you have done a lot with cyber insurance and talked about it, how it shouldn't be really a fallback when it comes to securing an enterprise. Can you talk to me about how you've seen things change in the past 6 to 12 months when it comes to cyber insurance?
Absolutely. So the first thing we have to look at is all the things that we've done to reduce our risk, the prevention stuff. But when you really look at prevention and why all the hacks keep happening, is you can only reduce the risk so much. We can't, no matter what we buy and no matter what we do, we cannot reduce the risk to zero. So what do we do about those hacks that happen anyway that cause tremendous loss? It seems to be more and more now that your last part of the budget, your last line item is cyber insurance to protect yourself in the case of catastrophe, and that market is growing incredibly fast. Just as a point of reference, InfoSec is about an $81 billion industry growing at 5 to 7%. Cyber insurance, and this is a major indicator, it's just 3 to 4 billion, so it's big, but not that big, but it's growing at 60 to 70%. Come 2008, 2009, it'll be bigger than AV.
Wow, okay. So are you seeing the insurance companies adapt when it comes to cybersecurity? Because I know that when we spoke a year ago, there were only 2 or 3 companies that really had a good grasp on what a cyber insurance liability profile should look like. Have you seen that sort of market grow with insurance, or are insurers figuring out what they need to put in their packages?
Yeah, so this is a very new landscape. Right now I'm tracking about 60 to 70 carriers between the US and the UK, and there's different levels of maturity. What they're doing now, because the market's growing so fast, they're doing 2 things, because they don't have a lot of actuarial data, meaning they don't know how to readjust the prices and the risks and the premiums based upon the controls you're putting in and the expected loss. So what they're doing is they're taking a swag. So what they do is they're just buying the market, and they're still making money, but they're buying the market. So when the claims happen and the data comes in, they'll compare with what you said you were doing to the actual losses. Come 5 years from now, they'll have the actual data and they'll start adjusting the premiums. In the meantime, they are still just now starting to dictate standards or to-dos to the organizations that they're going to defend. Must have AV of this particular kind, must have a firewall of this particular kind. So they're just touching on it, but more will come.
So finally, on the attack profiles and the attacks that we've seen over the past couple months, critical infrastructure is starting to become more and more targeted and make a lot of news. We've seen it with energy grids. We've seen it with vulnerabilities in voting equipment. We've seen it become a diplomatic thing, like the incident in Qatar. So how should we be changing the way that we protect critical infrastructure?
I don't know if there's a big difference between the way we should treat critical infrastructure, other than it's really, really important, from everything else, banks, retail, things that impact our daily lives. What we really need to look at is how we got to this place. So for instance, we spend $81 billion a year, and what's the result of it? We get hacked all the time. Everybody gets hacked all the time. But if you really looked at all the breaches, whether it's the energy grid and any of the examples you gave or anything else, we know about the issues, we know the vulnerabilities, we know how to stop them, prevent them, detect them, fix them, only we don't. We just don't. And why is that? My theory is we just lack the proper incentive structure. So what I've asked and what I'm really passionate about is getting the customers, the CISOs, the security departments, to hold the vendor's feet to the fire. When a vendor says they'll stop APT, they'll stop ransomware, or whatever the case may be, that they make them financially accountable, very similar to an insurance company, for what their product claims are. And SentinelOne does that. So we have our ransomware warranty. So now when we get to critical infrastructure, they're using all the same components and security controls that we are. Let's have the vendors that say, we're going to protect this stuff, take liability.
Great. Jeremiah, appreciate you stopping by and talking with us for a little bit today.
My pleasure.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube channel, and for everything on Black Hat, check out cyberscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.